Welcome to another episode of HR Nightmares. I'm Lisa, and I'm here with the regular ladies.
Hi, I'm Amy.
I'm Beth.
And we have a super special guest for our holiday party episode. And his name is Jonathan, and he owns and is the CEO of Shuckin Shack and all the franchises. He's doing big things in and around the Wilmington area and beyond, and so we're going to hear from him. But he made us, for those of you that aren't watching on YouTube and you're listening where you listen to your podcasts, everyone want to explain your Christmas sweater?
We were told we needed to wear the Christmas sweaters. So this one lights up, but I can't figure it out.
Okay.
Oh, it'd be so fun if it lit up.
Power source battery.
Power source, but I'm like,
Sure.
Need some batteries in there.
Yeah.
We should. I'll bring you battery on Wednesday when I see you. I have a pink sweater with a Christmas tree and some presents, but one of the presents is missing. Jonathan, you're our influencer. You asked us to wear these.
Mine is a inebriated snowman. My mother-in-law gave me this. She's a hoot, and
Apparently.
that's where it came from. Yeah.
Amy's
I'm just a present.
looks the nicest.
And this is as ugly as I can get. Sorry.
I didn't say that mine is like a lemur.
Not a fan of the ugly Christmas sweater trend.
So, Jonathan, thanks for joining HR Nightmares. This is the podcast where instead of writing a book, most HR people say they're going to write a book about all the salacious things that happen to us over our career. And we didn't feel like sitting down for years and years. So we just get behind the mics a couple of times a month and try to share with our audience really across the United States, like how to avoid HR nightmares. So we talk about fun stuff. We tell a lot of stories. We have a little laugh, but we try to give people realistic advice. And then we also do like some write-ins at the end. So you'll get a chance to pretend to be an HR person, which as an owner of a business, you are a real HR person. Sure. But we'll kind of bat around a couple of scenarios and see what you think about a couple of audience write-ins. Cool. Yeah. So tell us about Shuckin Shack.
Sure. So Shuckin Shack was started by not myself, but Matt Pickenen and Sean Cook here in Carolina Beach, just south of here, in 2007. So I opened the first location in 2007, opened the second location in 2012. In 2014, they started franchising, and that's when I came on board. I knew them from when they opened the first location. I worked right down the street and became good buddies with them. And in 2014, I basically got a call and said, hey, we don't know what we can pay you, and we don't really know where you fit in, but we think you fit in. Do you want to come help us do this? And I said, sure. And so I slept on Matt's couch for a year, and here we are. And we're at 19 locations in 6 states. We have quite a few more under construction, and, just having a lot of fun.
Wow. So how many employees is that?
So in total, I think we just eclipsed the 600 mark in employees.
Great. Yeah, that's really big.
Yeah. So we've grown from our first location is this kind of 900 square foot glorified closet
in Carolina Beach.
Yeah.
That's a good spot though.
It's a great
Never
spot.
give it up.
Never, absolutely not. And it's got 15 employees, a majority of them there from day one. So have been there for 15 years plus. And, we just have grown, and I don't know, people seem to like us, and we do fun things. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I really like your T-shirts that you guys all wear. So we were talking about this before we started recording, but who comes up with all the T-shirt slogans? What's the current one? Do you have one for the holidays?
We don't have one for the holidays. So 2 years ago, we found a company. I don't remember where they're out of, but they actually reproduce ugly Christmas sweaters based upon your logo. And so we did our first
cool.
release 2 years
Noted.
ago. Yeah,
You're
and they're
welcome,
awesome.
Amy.
However,
Great.
put it in your calendar if you're an organizer. You have to order them in June. So we had to order them in June. So we did an ugly Christmas Shuckin Shack sweater. This year we did an update to it. So most of our T-shirts prior to it basically revolved around drinking. That was pretty much the gist of the shirt. Anything you can think of about beer or, our initials are SOB. So incorporating SOB into the T-shirt rather is what we did. And it's literally us just sitting around thinking, hey, is this a little too far over the line, or can we get away with it? That's
How do you know?
I told y'all before we started recording.
Don't ask
I said,
your mother-in-law; she's too fun.
No, so one of the things, I told y'all before, if I started talking about some of the ones that hit the cutting room floor that never made to production, I would literally start blushing. I would turn red. Yeah. That's how I know, at least.
We need to
Yeah.
have some beers and listen.
So if you're
We need to,
blushing, it's like we've gone
It's
too
pretty
far.
bad. Yeah. And
So that's the regulator. If he's blushing,
at least
that's
that's my regulator. I'm not easily embarrassed, but some of those are, way over the line. Like no one would think that was okay.
So you brought up a good point, and I think like especially with a lot of young companies where there's a lot of young people and living in a coastal town like where we record this podcast, Wilmington, this town is a drinking town. And so like casual drinking, day drinking, all the drinking,
Vacation drinking.
vacation
That's right.
drinking,
That's
work
right.
drinking, like
Sunny day.
sunny day. Oh, those are the best days to drink.
Rainy day. I mean, hurricane parties. Basically,
there's
no
no
occasion needed.
We like to drink in this town. And so like how do you still maintain a fun culture at Shuckin Shack with your 600 plus employees, but also try to be responsible? And like now that you're bigger too, it's probably harder and you can't know everybody. So how do you keep a fun culture, a drinking drinking
I
culture?
don't know that I want to define us as a drinking culture, but no, that's very accurate. We do run bars.
Yeah.
Bar business is a significant portion of our business. I think the biggest thing that we do, just from a practical standpoint, is one of our biggest things is we let our employees be themselves. That's the biggest thing. So we're letting employees be themselves. We want them to be cheeky with customers, with each other. We want them to have even sometimes a little bit of an edge. Like we're totally okay with that. So we throw away this kind of robotic feeling of you need to go through points A through Z and then we'll check all of those boxes and that's what we consider a win at your table or with your bar guest or whatever. We threw all of that. We don't believe in any of that. And so I think for us, maintaining internal culture relates a lot to that. We retain employees very well because of that. We let them be themselves. And then as far as venturing into drinking, I mean, for me, putting on my serious face is we follow all states' alcoholic, beverage rules. We don't waver from those whatsoever. It's very important because one bad decision on the part of an employee or a manager or a shift manager or an owner or whomever can shut your business down. And that's just not, a closed business is not a profitable business. And so that's not what we're after.
What are you guys doing to prepare for holiday parties with your clients?
I just go back to a time back long ago when I was called in to help somebody that had a Christmas party. This is long ago. And they
long ago,
like
current
long.
clients, don't
no,
worry.
Yeah, long ago. Previous clients,
fine.
Yeah,
Don't
we're all
worry.
good. But they thought that the party wasn't getting hot enough, right? So they were like the director of operations walked around with a tray of shots and kind of coerced people to have shots. And then people were just absolutely hammered. And it was crazy because I had to fire somebody the next day because they were being really aggressive and tried to start a fight with the owner and then tried to make out with the head of sales. And it was just one of those things where you're just like, maybe we shouldn't be forcing shots on the employees.
I'm preparing by declining the invitations to go to that. That's what I'm preparing to do.
As an HR person, you don't want to be responsible as the babysitter.
I don't want to know. I don't want to be there. I don't want to
man.
manage.
Are a lot of your clients starting to not do Christmas parties? Or are they still doing their Christmas parties? A lot of mine are going to Christmas lunches.
Yeah, I mean, I have one in particular I know of that, they invited me, the inbox, the invite sitting in my mailbox. I'm like, should I go? Should I not go? Kind of
go
one
for
of
a little.
those. I'm like a dip in, dip out kind of person. Yeah, they're doing them for the most part. I mean, I have one that's an all remote business, so they don't really do a traditional kind of thing, but yeah,
the only
some are
thing with
doing.
holiday lunches, if people are going to be drinking at holiday lunches, just make sure they don't go back to the computer. So
Yeah.
Or maybe they do.
Yeah, it's one of those that, I find that like some companies, like take that money that they would spend on those big parties and they just give them as bonuses more to the employees versus having the social function, only because a lot of people are programmed out and the last thing they want to do is spend a Saturday night with their coworkers.
getting a
right?
babysitter.
Yeah.
I mean, a good idea is just to
Yeah.
ask people what they'd rather do. Hey, I'm going
Right.
to spend $100 a head, or you can
You'd rather
get
have the $100.
$100
That's
to
right.
Harris Teeter or something.
Yeah.
Don't let me put it in your paycheck because then I'll have to take taxes. So,
I hate that too. It's like, here's your Christmas bonus.
It's only $63.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's $63.48. And you're like, oh, man.
So have you guys do a lot of events at Shuckin Shack? Do you rent out any of your spaces for like corporate parties or anything?
We don't do a whole lot of rentals, especially on the weekends. Like we do it on a case by case basis during the week. That seems to be the biggest win for us. Weekends, they're kind of reserved for people going out. We want to get that business coming off the street. I mean, if people are waiting all week long to spend the night with us, we're not going to say close for a private event on a Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
So we work out on a case by case basis during the week. But yeah, we're constantly doing events, and a lot of events we do is off premise too. So we do catering at people's homes. We do catering for Christmas parties. But call us in advance. Please don't let us know, 12 hours ahead of your party. Maybe even then we could swing it, but that's kind of how we handle things.
How do you handle like safety when you send your catering people out to people's like private homes?
So I think, well, from a contractual standpoint and a practical standpoint, you make sure there are clear deliverables there. Here's what we're providing. Here's what you're providing. This is what we will be doing. This is what we will not be doing. We will be handling all of the equipment. If you're talking about, I'm sure you're referring to employee safety, but also guest safety. Like a lot of the times we're cooking we're basically creating steam. So heat and water, and it burns, it hurts. And so we're saying we're going to be the only ones bringing anything out of the pot, open flame. We're going to be taking care of that. We're not going to put, any sort of propane bottle right on your wooden deck. We're not going to do that. You need to provide us with a concrete space with open air, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back to a minute. You talked about your employees, and I think it's incredible in a service industry business to have that many employees that have been with you since day one, and the retention, and that's pretty incredible just in itself. But I'm curious, like, what makes a great Shuckin Shack employee? Like, what do you look for when you go out and look for new people, since you're kind of letting people be their authentic selves? Like, how do you identify a great fit for your company?
Easy. Someone that can talk to others. That's it. And specifically when you're talking about servers and bartenders, which are more in contact with the general public, it's, can you hold a conversation with someone? Like, that's the kind of the litmus test. We can teach a standard. We can teach you about Shuckin Shack. Certainly it helps to have experience. Experience never hurts. But someone that can talk to the general public is extremely important, because that shows that you have a desire to be interactive. This is, when you guys, when y'all walk into one of our spots, you're holding your wallet and saying, I'm going to spend money here. Like, it's not like retail where you're window shopping. There's no such thing as window shopping in a restaurant. You have decided you're spending money there. So we feel like it's our duty from a service standpoint to provide an experience. The experience goes beyond whatever is cooked on your plate. That doesn't matter. Like I used to say, we could be serving shit sandwiches, and as long as we do it well, people will eat them. You choose certain places because of the feelings that you get when you enter the door, and that's what we're after.
I love going
That's
to Shuckin
awesome.
Shack. Do you guys ever go to Shuckin Shack?
I do. I've
The
got
one
a funny
downtown?
story. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
She's like, I have a funny story.
So it was one of my first dates with this guy that I dated a long time, and I brought my teenage son, and I was like, this guy I really like. Do not embarrass me. He's like, I won't embarrass you, like some football player kid. And he was like, he looked at the menu, and it's, a good menu. And he's like, I want to get 2 of these things. I'm like, no, you're going to get 1. And the guy heard it, and he bought him 2 of those giant
Steam pots.
I was like, oh my God, this is like a first meeting of the kids. It was horrible. But I was so embarrassed. I'm like, you're embarrassing me. I'm like,
Did he eat it all, though? Because
He
those
ate
are
it
big
all.
steam pots.
That's 2 pounds
Ate
of
it
crab
all?
legs, so it probably took him like 3 hours.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. He was
Yeah.
like, and then he was eyeing other people's. I'm like, oh my God, please stop, But anyway.
I
But yes,
like
it was a
those-
great memory.
Oh, well, that's good. Oysters there are the best. The ones with the jalapenos. What are those
Oh, yeah.
called?
Char-grilled oysters. Yeah, jalapeno
they're
cheddar.
so good.
Yeah,
they're the
those
best.
are good. Everybody
Yeah.
get down there right now. What do you do if somebody applies that tells you they have a shellfish allergy?
We have the same conversation with customers because, believe it or not, it happens fairly often where someone sitting at a table of a 6-top or an 8-top says, I have a shellfish allergy. And kind of tongue-in-cheek, you're like,
This is
is
not
it
the
deadly?
place.
We
Wasn't
can't
on
guarantee.
something else.
Like, people
Yeah.
make mistakes. We have
Yeah.
a fryer specifically for non-seafood. No, nothing.
But still,
but
those
still,
Touching
allergies.
and-
people
Yeah.
make mistakes,
Yeah.
and we try
Food
to avoid
handlers.
cross-contamination if at all possible. We follow all CDC guidelines and all of that stuff, but people still make mistakes. I can't guarantee you that
Yeah.
your food will never not brush up
Touch.
against something that's shellfish.
Yeah.
I've got a question. You were talking about retention. So I love the fact that you have these employees for 15 years. It's amazing. So what kind of benefits do you offer them? Did you get creative with that?
We did, and a part of it was coming out of COVID. We're competing with everyone else, but Matt, who's one of the founders, and my partner, we were at another conference, so we can't take full credit for it, but we were basically under the uninformed assumption that there were lines that we had to walk through as far as benefits that we could and could not give. You can pretty much structure your benefit program however you want to. And we did not know that just because we're not HR people. And so we basically started doing paid time off in the service industry, which is not a thing. People do not do paid time off. For all of our employees, not for just managers. So we do accrued paid time off. It's based upon if you work a certain number of hours, you get a fraction of an hour, or an hour is paid time off that you can redeem. The biggest thing that we did for retention was we actually started talking to people. That was the biggest thing. And it sounds crazy, but just asking people what they need. Like, I know money is the answer. I know that. And we're going to do that. You're getting a raise, like pretty much across the board. Everyone got a raise. What else do you need? Like, let's have that conversation. And that helped with retention more than anything else. But then other benefits, we try to work with people. We're liberal with time off given. We try to work on even 4-day work week for some people in our industry, which does not happen. That does not happen. And then other things we do, referral bonus and retention bonus, more importantly. So for instance, most everyone was doing hiring bonuses, which was a one-time thing. So we started doing retention bonuses, which means if you referred someone and they started working at the restaurant, every single pay period, you got $20 as long as that person stayed as an employee. That's every single pay period.
Okay,
so
that's
cool.
Really great.
Let's say they stay there for a year.
Person out of bed.
Yeah,
That's right.
Exactly.
That's 26 pay periods in a year. That's $520 in a year.
Yeah.
Let's say they stay there for 5 years. That's $1,500 extra that you wouldn't have gotten. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, there's no cap on the number of people you can refer. So, to me, it costs us $2,300 to train one employee. Why wouldn't I pay $520 to someone over the course of a year to have another person sitting next to them that they already know, they look forward to coming to work with them.
Yeah.
They already have a good relationship. Yeah. Right.
That's real. I love thinking outside the box kind of thing.
But it is an accountability partner. Like, to your point, I worked. Did you guys bartend or wait tables?
I was a bus girl.
Oh, no. We always said you're either retail or food. You crossed over to both because you were retail and food, but I was just retail.
I did more retail than
my first job was retail. I worked at the
But
Gap.
heck yeah, if I had friends that didn't show up for work, I'd be like,
$20.
Exactly right.
I'd be like, man, now I got to do all the opening duties. What is this?
Yeah. Oh,
right.
believe me, and every shift, one or two people wouldn't show up. So that's really smart. Cool. Yeah.
You said that you talk to your employees, and I think that that's so important. That's what we kind of really always
are
promoting. It's because you really don't know if you were to talk to all three of us, maybe something's really going on in your life, and if you don't know that, then you can't meet their needs as an employer. So I love that you're spending the time to get to know them.
And it's simple stuff. It doesn't have to be, sometimes it's monetary, of course it is, and saying, hey, I just had a child, or my husband or my spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend just lost their job. All of a sudden, that's one income or whatever it may be. Or I had unexpected car repairs. We did that. We've done that where, hey, I can't get to work because I have a $350 car bill. Bring me the bill. It's that simple. Why on earth would you complicate things and say, oh, well, sorry, you're fired. If they have the desire to come to work and the reason they can't get there is because their car is broken, fix their damn car. What's wrong with you?
But that also is bringing them, there's going to be a loyalty thing that you can never buy that.
That's exactly right.
It's they're going to know that you were there in a pinch and really helped them.
That's right.
So that's great. Maybe that's the secret to your 15-year people.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, we've had people stick around for
overall, without HR people, you said, I think you're doing a phenomenal job. You said all the things that I think we would recommend when we go into a service-based business and they can't find people and people are leaving and retention's really high, especially in food, beverage, retail, all of the service industry. But you're doing all those things, referral, retention bonuses, thinking outside the box, creating benefits and reasons for people to want to stay. So that's great.
Also, a lot of what we do as HR consultants is just go out and do a lot of reading, listen to podcasts, read articles to kind of stay on top of trends. And it sounds like even though you didn't want to take the credit, for the things that you implemented. You went to a conference, you're learning, you're open-minded, you're not trying to say, well, this is the way that we always did things, and that's why you're being successful. So kudos to you guys for kind of like keeping up with trends and being open-minded.
Just doing the right thing, taking care of people, and they'll take care of you and your customers.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the crux of it. Like, especially as, your expectation is that your customers will return. Well, you should also be concerned about whether or not your employees will return. And so making sure that you're also giving them great customer service, because they're in your building like 200 days a year. So they're your best customers. So whatever you can do to make sure they're coming back is important.
Yeah.
Did you ever read that book? So it's literally my favorite book on the planet. It's called Yes is the Answer, What is the Question by Cameron Mitchell.
No, I've never read it.
Oh my God, you got to go read this book. It's all about, did you guys ever read this book?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's all about creating a culture of hospitality so that in the end, like your employees, and he kind of like lived the same mantra that you guys are living,
Right.
and built the first, I think it was the first $1 billion restaurant business, ended up selling off like Ruth's Chris and like all these other really famous restaurants in DC and New York. And anyway, it's just awesome. It's kind of like one example in the book was like somebody asked for like a chocolate milkshake, and the server was like, well, we don't have chocolate ice cream right now. And the manager was like, then you go to the
we have ice
Wawa
cream?
down the
Right.
street
Yeah.
and get the chocolate ice cream and run your ass back and
Yeah.
get to the blender and make the chocolate milkshake. And they'll never know the difference. You just say, hey, it's going to take a couple extra minutes. Bear with me. And just make it
right.
seamless for them and give them what they want. So it's an awesome
Yeah, I love
book.
that approach.
What questions do you guys have about like Christmas parties, hospitality, safety at Christmas parties, over drinking, dealing
What's
with
the Shuckin Shack Christmas party like?
probably
Maybe
fun.
we need to go.
Are we invited?
None of y'all are invited.
We wore the sweaters.
Yeah.
We should get it. We should at least get in.
We don't get invited to a lot of
You know-
things, so it's all
Yeah,
good.
it's all
We have
right.
thick skin.
It depends on the year. The last few years have been weird just because of COVID and all of that. But previously, we would generally rent out a bar somewhere, either in Carolina Beach or in Wilmington somewhere, and it would be obviously open bar, and we would hire another local restaurant to cater it. So, and it would just be, come in at your own pace. Of course, your spouses are invited. Sometimes we would play Christmas games. Most of the time, we didn't want to kind of dictate what was going on. It's like, hey, you guys get enough of us, drop in at your own leisure.
Yeah.
Like, no.
We will now
pressure.
have fun from
Right.
7 to
Yeah.
8:15.
Yeah.
Mandatory holiday party.
So,
right.
okay, you talked about having an open bar. Is there any kind of precaution that you guys take to make sure that people get home safe?
Oh yeah, no, we made it clear. So we've hired shuttle services previously where we will shuttle people back to their cars, but only to get their belongings, and then we would actually pay for Ubers for people to go home. I mean, it's a fractional cost for us, as opposed to
That's the one I always worry about.
It's
Is the
just-
like come to our holiday party and then drive home.
Yeah, that makes me,
Yeah.
that always makes me
Yeah,
worried
no,
too.
I mean our employees. There's a natural policing when you have employees that have been with you for 15 years. There's a natural policing that takes
Right.
place, but no, listen. Build that in. If you're not doing it, build it into your Christmas party budget. It might cost you, if you have 40 employees, it might cost you an extra, I don't know, $500-600. But I mean, come on.
But it's just a peace of mind.
Oh yeah,
That they're
Yeah,
not going
it's
to
worth
that's right.
it.
They're going to be home
homes.
safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I have a logistical question for you as I have another client that is in food and beverage. What is your policies around employees coming in after their shift or on their days off to like drink at the bar, eat at the restaurant? Do you have any policies around that? No
You shouldn't wear any
uniform.
sort of like uniform or something that would be construed as a uniform. Our employees, our general uniform is for front of the house, just wear a Shuckin Shack shirt. Like we have shirts that say staff on them.
I thought you were about
But-
to say just wear a shirt.
Well, that too.
Wear a shirt, please.
Yes, please do
I'm
that.
teasing.
But no, just no logos. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it. And it's on a case by case basis. I
Yeah.
think it's in our employee handbook that says no logos. We welcome you to come in on your day off
Or after shift.
or after your shift. After your shift,
Change
if
out
you're
your
having that's
uniform.
right. If you're having
Okay.
a shift drink, most of the kitchen guys from the back they'll turn their shirt inside out, and so it just
Yeah.
makes
I
it
have-
much
I
easier.
have-
That's helpful. I mean, I'm just curious because we're actually going through this and there's somewhat of a debate amongst like which way to go. And I've always been of the mindset of like, listen, we can't manage what people are doing on their days off. I'd rather them come give us money into the
I'd
business.
love to take their money.
Yeah, that's
you
what
love
I
that
go
so much.
You know, and I
Come
think
back.
I kind of wrote into the policies too of like, you know, you're still an employee of the company, so we still expect you to maintain some professional level demeanor and all that kind of thing. And of course, we would address if someone's out of line. But I feel no reason to like put a blanket policy around
That they can't
don't
come in.
come.
No.
Yeah,
No, I think
One
that's a little
thing
silly.
is-
I don't know.
yeah.
Interesting
silly.
though, if you give discounts, so employee discounts, they would maybe get beer for half price. They can't transfer the beers to like your friend Lisa.
Why?
Yeah.
Hey, I work here. And
We don't do any discounting on alcohol at all.
Okay.
I think
That
that's
makes it
state
probably-
mandated,
That's state
right?
mandated,
That's
yeah.
state guideline.
So they don't
yeah.
have to do that.
Yeah,
That's
no
good.
alcohol,
Violates
no alcohol
liquor
discounts
law.
at all. We do food discounts, of course, but no alcohol discounts.
Aren't you guys like operating across different states now?
We are.
So how do you keep up with all the different employment laws?
So because we're franchise driven, it's up to franchisees.
Okay.
We give general guidelines on. There's a clear delineation what is brand specific and then what is state specific. And so brand specific, we can require all those guidelines. We can do all that. That's not a problem. There's nothing against the rules that say we can't do that. And then furthermore, state specific. For instance, in some states, bartenders can drink behind the bar. You cannot do that in North Carolina. Now, our brand specific guideline is that bartenders do not drink behind the bar. However, in some
So that
states,
trumps the
that trumps
state,
the
yeah.
state specific.
It's usually
guideline.
whichever's the stricter guideline.
Generally speaking, yeah.
would trump.
That's right. So, but it varies. We encourage all of our franchisees to seek counsel in the form of an HR representative or an attorney or whomever.
Yeah.
In writing and filling in the gaps in their own employee handbook to determine those policies.
Gotcha.
That's great.
Cool.
Smart.
You have any good stories for us?
Just for holiday parties?
Just in general. I
Just
mean, you
from
work
the
in
Shuckin
hospitality.
Shack.
I'm like,
It's-
I put myself through college at Chili's and TGI Fridays with the flair. So I know that there are tons of
man.
good stories just hanging out there.
Yeah, there's tons. I mean, the one that always kind of that gets me in a comical way is that we had a bad review at one location. I mean, a really, really bad review at one location in another state. This happened probably 2 years ago. And we see that we have a review monitoring software. So we see every review that comes in, like it hits us immediately. And our marketing team is always on it. When they see like a 1-star come in, like we're looking at those first. Hey, what happened? What system failure happened? So we see this review came in and it was basically, it was egregious. Like on top of it being poor service and poor food, there was a sexual innuendo going on, like where the bartender kind of overstepped some boundaries, male bartender, female guests. And we're like, that does not seem like something that would happen at that location. Like that just doesn't, that's so out of left field, unlike that location. So we reached out to the guests directly that left the review, and they swore up and down it happened at that location. So we were like, we're kind of freaking out a little bit because they're threatening litigation and all of these things. And so,
God, in a review.
interview. Oh yeah. So even when we took it off, even if we took it offline, like my attorney will be in touch, and
Yeah.
so like, okay, now we got to go back and watch the cameras. So we encourage our franchisee. They pull the tape, and they're like, this person was not in this restaurant.
Oh.
They just went to that employee. Hey man, this doesn't sound like you, but can you read this? Was this you? And it's like, oh no, that definitely wasn't me.
Yeah.
And so that's what led us to watching the tapes and discovering, yeah, it definitely did not happen in our four walls.
You try to put yourself in that employee's shoes, though, too, and I'd be freaking out, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh, my God.
So
Who's
right.
making up these lies about
That's right.
me? And
I've had that with a customer that like insisted. I'm like, ma'am, I have never spoken to you, like ever. I'm the store. It was the store manager. I am the store manager, and I was not working that day. Like it was not me.
I was not here.
Was it one of my managers? Was she at a different store? Like I don't know, but whatever you said to the CEO of our company, like it's not good. Finally, I'm just like, okay, it was me. Like, I was like, there's just
I'll
no.
own it.
I'm like,
Let's go.
whatever. It's
Yeah.
fine. My
Yeah,
reputation
let's go.
will succeed this woman, so it's fine. But
what
yeah,
was it about? Like a 16-year-old return?
I was really nasty to her, whatever it was. And I'm like, well, it doesn't really seem like me, but okay, great. I was like, okay, well, everyone, after you said that, like everyone knows that was not me.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was over some return. I wouldn't, like
Always a
always.
return.
always return. Some return. I'm like, please, don't take anything back.
last month. the product code says you bought it 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And at
In my
Macy's,
last month.
not
Right.
Nordstrom.
Yeah.
We did a lot of that. Good.
Oh,
Should we do
man.
our audience write-in?
I want to do them. They're pretty good.
There was one that was like,
Which one do you want to do? The hooking up one?
well, now that you said it, everyone's going to want to hear that one.
There's a lot of hookups that happen at holiday parties. Keep it professional. Take it offline. Wait till you get home. But
Don't
here's
drink too much.
And don't drink too much.
And
but
make
if you
sure
do,
that
take an
everyone's
Uber.
busy.
Don't mix alcohol with anything else.
Okay, so this is from somebody in North Carolina. They said, I'm a manager of a gym, and this is a hell of a story. I love the way that starts. We just found out one of our personal trainers is hooking up with one of our members. How we found this out is the interesting part. So this week, the member was taking our trainer's class, and the husband of the member, who's hooking up with our personal trainer, showed up to a fully packed class to address his wife. My guess is he found out. Pretty good guess. Waited for her to take the trainer's class, and then he came into the gym and threw a box of her things at our personal trainer and made a scene. Most of the other members were confused, so were we, until we put two and two together. We don't have a trainer member policy about dating. Other trainers have dated members in the past. It's been fine. Our trainer claims he didn't know she was married. How do we move forward with this with the trainer? It doesn't seem worth firing him over. How do we keep our reputations with our members?
Well, get a policy.
Yeah.
Get a policy. It might be time for a policy. And maybe you don't want a policy. I don't know. But if you don't want to draw that boundary of professionalism between your employees and your clients, then this may happen.
So I remember at Ruby Tuesdays, you couldn't date, like if you were a server, you couldn't date a manager.
fraternization.
No fraternization. And if you ended up dating, then somebody had to go to another location.
But what about a guest, like a restaurant guest?
You could kind of do something the same, right? Like a fraternization with members policy. So
I think it's different when you're working in an industry like
That you're
open
close
to the
and
constant
sweaty.
public.
Yeah, we're
that's like
transactional.
restaurant,
Yeah.
retail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
transactional.
right.
People are in and out, but this is like a member-based business where it's the same clientele. Like, you know, it's a little bit different. It's not an open to the public type gym, I would think. It's a paying client kind of thing. So
I would probably want them to not be able to date the people that they work with directly. Because I just think that when you're working out together, this is just me,
Yeah.
it just seems like if one person wasn't loving it all of a sudden, it just seems like it could be pretty sticky.
it feels like a lot of conflicts
Yeah.
could come about from
And-
that. So I think you're right. A personal trainer, it's like
if
can
you're
you
a personal trainer, you can date the person that I'm
date
training.
somebody
yeah.
that, you know, is a member at the gym, sure. Or are you dating your personal client? I don't know. Maybe it's a disclose thing. Maybe it's like it's all fine, but you need to disclose to us, right?
what do you think
Because
about
then
like
we looked up our
bartenders
lady in the
picking up
system and her
people across the
emergency
bar? I mean,
is
I
her
remember that
husband.
happening all the
They're
time.
doing it for tips.
Okay.
Wait, what?
I
I missed
mean-
this.
There's a transactional
different
relationship
tips.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So we think you should have a policy. Now, dealing with the reputation of like all the other people that saw that go down, I don't think there's really anything you can do about it.
I mean, it's a workout class. It's a gym. I'm sure it was like entertaining to all, but not damaging to your overall reputation.
People are
Yeah.
going to still go back.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
people will
everyone
still go back.
will still go see that trainer. And be like,
Unless
"All
that
right."
trainer is also hooking up with the 9 other people.
Well,
in the
yeah.
class.
So there you go. I'll go
which
back to
could
the
be
policy.
the other
It
piece
could
of the
be.
story that
It
came
could be.
out
I'll go
in the
back to
last
the
7 days
policy.
since we received the write-in.
Yeah.
Where I would say is when they went to that place of saying, seems like we shouldn't fire. Maybe no, you're not going to terminate employment, but yes, we are going to coach on professional demeanor and understanding and knowing your clients, and you work with them pretty closely. Were you sure we didn't know she was married?
And
I
also,
mean,
like, who you hook up with is totally your business. Like,
We
and,
want-
and this happens all the time in workplaces, right? Like,
Totally.
married people hook up with married people, and it's like, la, 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 la. I don't
but
really want to
it
know.
became our business when he entered our location and threw a
Exactly.
box of her stuff at your face.
Right.
It
Exactly.
became our business.
And when you're using like company assets to like send like gross, messages about the Myrtle Beach trip and all that, like over IMs at work, that's
Lisa,
something
what?
you don't.
Myrtle Beach trip? This sounds like something else. Sounds like a different situation.
It's a hooking up at work situation, and it was very traumatizing to me. It's been 12 years. Somebody printed off all the IMs and slipped them under my HR manager
wants to
door.
read those.
So
Oh, boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, back to the gym. Get a policy. It's probably a good idea to have a policy. If you don't have a policy, coach them on professional behavior.
Yeah.
Any other
Yeah.
inputs?
I don't know. I look at employee handbooks and policies a little bit differently. I think that if you're depending upon those for your moral or practical guidelines, you're doing it wrong. Like, what do you as a human think? Like, let's pretend you weren't employed here at all. Like, where's your brain? Where's your brain? What do you think? Do you think this is a good move? Like, just practically speaking, you're not an employee of Ruby Tuesday or whomever else. What would you think this situation might lead to? Let's do like a SWOT analysis on it or something. Like, if it leads you into the wrong direction, maybe we should rewind that a little bit. Yeah. That's just my philosophy on it.
But if you want to fire him, you need to put it down somewhere that you do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So that's why we like it. Because when you move to term, you're going to need something in writing that says this wasn't allowed.
That's right.
This one's just kind of interesting from Charlotte. It's about a safety issue. It's interesting because it has to do with drug tests, safety issues, and just overall favoritism. So it says we were having safety issues on the operating floor, so they decided to start doing random drug tests. 60% failed, including the best friend of the owner. The same person was responsible for several of the safety issues mentioned above and was directly responsible for 2 people being injured while on the job due to negligence on his own part. The owner was one of the people that failed. What would you do if you were our
owner
HR?
Tested themselves?
First of all, why would they do that?
Why would they do that if they knew they were going to fail?
It's like, don't test yourself.
Okay,
also,
the
you
whole
aren't
thing
on the operating
seems
floor.
like a bit of a shit show, but okay.
Well, I would say it all goes back to like what you just said about judgment and just thinking through. It's like, why do we need drug tests when we're probably already know something's going on here that, if everyone's high, then sure, we're going to have some accidents on the whatever manufacturing operating floor.
I wonder what they're making.
So
Hope
it's like
not a
we don't
surgery center
need
or
drug tests. Yeah, it's like we don't need a positive drug test to tell us that accidents, injuries, whatever incidents are happening, and we need to address what the problem is, not what's necessarily the drug testing of it all. Yeah, we should be able to visually like see if someone is impaired, right?
If 60, they're going to have to make a big plan for what are the next action steps, because if 60% of the workforce, and we don't even know how big this workforce is having to be suspended or get some kind of discipline for testing positive, I'm assuming they have like a zero tolerance drug policy, or why would they be doing random in the first place?
Sometimes it's interesting though. So North Carolina is, marijuana is not legal, but if you go to, I think Virginia is legal. So if you go there on the weekend, smoke pot, come back, you're not impaired,
right?
But you're testing positive. So I wonder if that has something to do with the 60%.
I guess, but I would think that the reason they did it is because these accidents are happening. So people are probably impaired at the time, is what I would guess to say. Otherwise, why is that the assumption?
I mean, that would be, cannot do that.
Yeah, that's going to get,
well, and I would say, like, too, I mean, I won't even get into the weeds of, like, how they administered that and if they just randomly started, like, doing that. But it's not their company culture. It's not, are they a background drug test kind of always company?
Are you doing it
typically
as a gotcha?
Don't stop.
Yeah.
You typically
That's
don't,
what
like,
it sounds
start
like.
that process without always having, and you could also just put something into a place where if an accident or an injury happens, then you could administer a drug test at that time, because that usually, if something's there, it'll be a workers' comp type thing, right? And so then we would know. I don't know. They need some help, though, I would say,
Sounds like
overall.
a hierarchy to me. I mean,
And there's probably a lot more questions that we
you're
have to
pulling from a
ask.
certain pond, right? You're pulling from a certain pond, so like change ponds.
Yeah.
Like if this is something that
Or
is
they're
a
all
problem
getting
for you, it's
high
not
in
a
the
problem
parking
for me.
lot
Like we're in
together.
the restaurant business, like whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're pulling from a certain pond, if you're disappointed by the results, it's because you kept fishing in that pond. Like go to that one over there.
Yeah.
And also, were you putting your head, like, where, like, the frontline managers putting their head in the sand on some issues?
Right.
Like, you're saying, like, is everybody
You
going
should be able
in,
to visually
like,
see
doing
if people
coke
are
in
under
the
influence.
bathroom, or, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And by walking around, you'll get to know kind of the scoop, right? You're going to know, everyone's
Yeah, something's going
On
on.
lunchtime.
Yeah.
I've had employees walk in and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Get out of here. Like, you've got to go home.
Yeah.
Like, what? You're either hungover from last night or you just smoked in the parking lot. I don't care which one. You go
But
home
you
today.
can't.
If
Yeah.
you ever come back home like this, you do not have a job anymore, right?
Yeah.
So mean, that was like back in the days in my 20s when I was a manager on the floor. But you know,
Some
like if you're
people don't
talking
care.
to your people, you're like, what's going on here?
And they're just like, what's up?
What were you doing on lunch break?
Manufacturing
that-
generally has zero tolerance policies. If you're working
100%.
in if you're a creative and smoking weed or doing shrooms like makes you be more creative, okay, fine. But like manufacturing, no. Healthcare, no.
Yeah.
There's certain industries where you just can't be
There's
high.
clear safety issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you wonder too, it's like, gosh, there's something going on if 60% have failed the test.
Yeah, it's a pond issue, and there's some kind
Yeah.
of employee relations
Right.
issue where the managers are not walking around
Yeah.
to where the work is. They have
And
no-
are you prepared
They do
to
not
fire
understand.
all of these employees?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Probably
A
not.
drug test can't be your only finger on the pulse. Like,
Right.
come
yeah.
on.
Exactly.
Go talk to your people. So key takeaways. I love that you are like a human-centric leader. You want to give your employees a great experience so that they give the visiting customers a great experience. Have you ever heard of our app that we created called Work Talk?
No.
Oh, it's
I don't
a
have a smartphone.
it's a what?
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I was like, oh my gosh, how
I just
old
wanted to-
are you?
I just wanted to see the
Are
you
reaction.
older than I thought?
I just wanna
Okay.
see the reaction.
No, but it's a mobile app. It's Leath HR Group technology. It's a mobile app to make sure that employees and supervisors are
Work
doing
Talk?
work talk,
Give it the
like
plug one more
TikTok,
time.
but
Like
work
TikTok.
talk.
Work
Work
Like
talk.
TikTok, but work talk. Work
Okay,
talk.
got it. Is it owned by
T-O-K.
produced by the Chinese or?
No,
Okay.
it's produced. Actually, all the development was done in the United States.
cool. Yeah,
Every
I'll download it
single
then.
code line. But it's a good way for. It sounds like you guys have got it going on when it comes to like checking in with your employees. But a lot of people, especially in the service industry, don't get a chance to like talk one-on-one and find out you're having car issues. Your mom just got diagnosed with cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Your husband lost his job. You're a one-income family. So it allows people to just like do check-ins via mobile device, and it's super cheap and easy to use. What else? Any other last-minute comments, questions for Jonathan?
We will be back.
No.
And we will visit you.
Oh,
Have
we
fun
are
at your holiday party.
we are
We're
coming
not
to
invited
Shuckin Shack.
Yeah, we are going to come.
Yeah,
We should go down there and have a few drinks.
Yeah.
Ask for Jonathan.
that's right.
It's the HR ladies.
I work in the office.
Lucky for you. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
great.
we
And thanks
appreciate
Thanks
it.
for being in the spirit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We gotta
I
do
look like
it.
a bozo as the only one showing up with a
Dude, like I
Christmas
said,
sweater.
I
That
would
would've been
I had
embarrassing.
flair back in the day. It was
Yeah.
more than 15 pieces. It was
Oh,
really good stuff, the suspenders. But yeah, we're all about team and crew spirit around here. So happy holidays to everybody. I hope you have a safe and holiday season. If you like HR Nightmares, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends, tune in anywhere you listen to the podcast. Check out Work Talk, WORKTOK. It's Leath HR Group's very own technology. And give us a call if you have any questions or want to work through any scenarios with expert HR consultants. Leath HR Group is the place to go. Thank you so much. Have a good one.